Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really going deep, taking a close look at, well, the mechanics of human connection, how it all works underneath, and we're jumping straight into a pretty big psychological puzzle. We've got some ideas here that ask, how often do we get it wrong? Mistaking intense need, maybe dependency, or even just sheer terror for real love. Okay, let's try and unpack this.
Yeah, and to really unpack it, we probably need a different way of looking at it. That feeling, the one we call love, sometimes it's actually a kind of masterful psychological construction. Its purpose isn't always about finding closeness. Sometimes its main job is to help us escape something terrifying inside ourselves. We need to look at perception here, how the mind actively shapes our experience.
Right, so less about the fuzzy feelings and more about the structure, the architecture of it all. And if we're talking structure, organization, that sounds very Gestalt psychology, which for anyone listening sees the mind as, well, not just soaking things up, but actively organizing everything, right?
Exactly. Gestalt is all about how our brain takes this raw, kind of messy input, the background, what we call the ground, and almost instantly pulls out something meaningful, defines an object. That's the figure. Our mission today is to see how we apply that same organizing principle to our relationships.
Okay, so in our emotional lives, what is that ground? What's the formless background that our minds are so desperate to shape?
Emotionally, the ground is often this void. It's that deep, unstructured fear, feeling unlovable, unseen, maybe abandoned forever, the terror of being completely alone. And the human mind, well, it really struggles with that lack of structure. It rushes to create a figure, maybe a relationship, a soulmate, sometimes even an obsession just to cover up that void.
Okay, this is where it gets fascinating and maybe a bit confronting. The analogy that comes up is stark. It's like being on a life raft in a huge, empty ocean.
Precisely. You find a piece of wreckage, that's the relationship, and you cling to it like your life depends on it. You might even swear you love this piece of wood, that it's your salvation. But are you holding on because you love the wood itself? Or because you're terrified of the water underneath? That dynamic clinging to the figure to escape the ground isn't just a nice metaphor. It's how perception works structurally in these situations.
Okay, wait though. Because that feeling, that intense, immediate connection, the late night texts, the world shrinking down to just that one person.
Yeah.
It really feels like destiny, like overwhelming love. How do we tell that apart from just fearing the water?
That's the key question. Where is the energy focused? Is it on the person themselves, their presence? That's more like the destiny feeling. But in this life raft dynamic, the real focus is often on the absence of the figure and the panic that sets in when they're not there. The feeling isn't really, I want to share my life with this unique individual. It's more like, I need them here right now, or I feel like I'll fall apart.
Wow. Okay, that shifts everything. It moves from wanting connection to needing a survival. Let's talk about Alana. She gets involved with someone charming, but, unreliable. When he pulls back, what happens? It's not like she misses his jokes, right?
No. The description is one of sheer physiological panic. Like, her body trembles, her mind races, she feels unstable physically. Her panic isn't really for him. It's a terror that the figure, the wall she built against the void, is about to crumble. The relationship itself was never the main point. It was just a perceptual placeholder, a structure built quickly to keep that old terror away.
So the drama, the chase, the relationship itself, even if it's painful, it's better than the silence, better than facing that void. A painful figure is preferable to no figure at all.
Exactly that. And this matters because it helps explain why we sometimes stay in really painful relationships. We perceive the world, not objectively, but as we need it to be to survive what feels unbearable. Often what we need is just a figure, any figure, to distract from our own deep solitude.
Which leads us straight to maybe the most loaded phrase in romance. I can't live without you. We hear that and think, wow, that's devotion.
But if we translate that, using the structural language, it means something quite different. It's less, you are my beloved, and more like, you are not my lover, you are my perceptual scaffolding.
You're the thing holding me together. Wow.
Yes. If that person leaves, the whole structure holding your sense of self together, that illusion of being whole, it collapses. That's why some breakups feel like annihilation. You haven't just lost a person, you've lost the framework. The illusion of completion they provided is gone.
That's quite a perspective. It means the grief isn't always about them, but about suddenly being face to face with that ground again. Terrifying.
Think about Daniel's case. 7 years, silence, distance, not much warmth. But when his partner finally says maybe she should leave, he completely falls apart, begs her to stay. And when someone asks, what is it you love about her? His answer is just, she's there.
just her presence. She was serving a function, not really being a partner. Her being there was like psychological insulation.
Yeah. Her physical presence, even if cold, was the necessary wall against his internal chaos. Her being in the house, maybe in the bed, that was the guarantee against his world dissolving. It's dependency, but wrapped up in the language of romance. When we get into relationships primarily to escape that ground, we basically turn the other person into a kind of perceptual prosthetic. We're looking for insulation from ourselves, really, not intimacy with them.
So if that's dependency, then real connection, from a Gestalt view, needs two whole people, not just two broken bits trying to hold each other up. That feels like a very high standard.
Well, it might be the only standard for real connection, but to understand why we keep falling into these patterns, finding these partial figures, we need to dig a bit deeper into how attraction itself is structured.
Right, and this brings us to that fascinating term, isomorphism. What's the core idea there?
Isomorphism. Essentially, it means our inner world structure tends to mirror our outer experiences structure. The psyche, fundamentally, isn't always searching for happiness or peace. What it really wants, deep down, is closure. It wants patterns to complete themselves, to close the Gestalt. So when we have what's called an unfinished situation, maybe a childhood wound, like Maya's experience, where learning that needing something led to rejection that leaves a kind of structural charge, an imbalance in our emotional field. It's like an open circuit, and it desperately wants to be closed.
Okay, so if my inner pattern is, say, need leads to abandonment, what happens when I look for a partner? Why do people keep chasing partners who are emotionally unavailable? The classic bad boy or bad girl.
It's that structural resonance. The unavailable partner doesn't push you away. Paradoxically, they pull you in, often intensely, because their behavior perfectly mirrors the structure of your old wound. Your emotional field is almost magnetized to this person because they represent a chance to finally replay that old scene. And maybe, this time, force a different ending. Get the closure you never got.
Hang on, I need to process that. That incredible spark, the electricity you feel with someone, that feeling like you've known them forever. You're saying that's often not revelation, but trauma recognizing itself.
Often, yes. It can feel like destiny, but it might just be your field recognizing its own painful structure. The excitement isn't necessarily about building a future together. It's the thrill of activating that old wound, which is screaming for resolution. Our attention follows the charge in our field. So if your field is dominated by that fear of abandonment structure, you're not drawn to the kind, stable person. Safety feels flat, unstructured, doesn't activate anything. Your attention snaps to the one who disappears, who's inconsistent, because they carry the charge needed to potentially complete the old pattern.
That explains why the nice, stable partner can sometimes feel, well, boring. They don't offer the right shape to fit the old wound.
Exactly. They don't switch on the survival mechanism linked to that unfinished business, so the mind kind of dismisses them. They don't serve the need for structural closure.
Okay, if this is the deep-seated pattern of dependency, of structural loops, what does real insight even look like? How do we break free from chasing figures that just mirror our pain?
Well, true Gestalt insight isn't usually just a thought, an aha moment. It's more fundamental. It's a reorganization of the field itself. It's that moment when you suddenly see that the emotional figure you've been desperately chasing, the unavailable one, the dramatic relationship, was really just constructed suspense, not actual destiny, not even real danger in the way you thought. You see the scaffolding for what it is.
That sounds like hard work, maybe even scary work.
It absolutely is. Real insight means stopping that cycle of trying to find wholeness outside yourself. You stop asking, why won't they love me the way I need them to? And you start asking the structural question, what part of me truly believes I will cease to exist, just disappear if this person leaves?
That really flips the script on fear. We think, oh, I'm just scared of being alone. But maybe the real fear is what we'll find when we actually stop running, the unedited self. The old wounds, that silence we've been drowning out with drama.
Exactly. We're kind of conditioned by culture to see our own depths as something wrong, something to be fixed or escaped, to mistake our own ground for, like, a grave. But the final Gestalt reversal, the big shift, is this. Loneliness isn't the enemy, that vast inner space you've been avoiding. It's not trying to swallow you whole, it's actually what's holding you. The ground can be a garden full of potential, not just a grave. Wholeness comes from having the courage to actually hold that fear, to feel it and integrate it, not just keep trying to banish it by finding another person, another distraction. And real love. That becomes possible only when you stop needing another person to close your own unfinished loops. Love doesn't complete you, it reveals you to yourself.
So this whole deep dive, it wasn't really about diagnosing anyone or placing blame. It was about understanding the mechanics, the structure of how we perceive connection. And the realization is, when we stop using our partner as just a wall against our own inner void, the relationship itself can finally breathe. It becomes spacious, not suffocating.
Yes, and that spaciousness, that's where real love can actually be born. It's the connection between two complete fields, two whole people choosing to be together. When you're whole, and you choose them not because you need them to fill a hole, but because you want to celebrate them and be celebrated, that's something entirely different. That's genuine contact, not fusion. Interdependence, not just dependency.
So maybe the question to take away as you go about your life is about recognizing the difference. Are you clinging to the raft because you fear the water, or are you enjoying the journey? What would it actually feel like not to be saved by love, but to just stand right here in the dizziness maybe of your own whole integrated aliveness, knowing deep down you were always complete to begin with?